I want to thank you for watching that like 17-minute video rant that I made yesterday about wanting to feel more. I want to thank you for watching that 17-minute video yesterday about wanting to feel more substance. There were a lot of really cool comments. I didn't think anybody was actually gonna care based on the feeling of the video. But turns out a lot of people feel the way that I do. And there was a lot of really good comments, especially on Facebook. That's where a lot of the good ones were kind of popping off, were on my Facebook. And I'm uncustomary on Facebook if you want to go over there. But I wanted to follow up with it and basically say that I think what I really want to know right now is if you felt called out in the video. Because a lot of people are right now looking at the video and saying, hey, that is something that I feel, that's something that I'm complaining about too. I notice when people are, to summarize what I said in the video was like, people are not really reciprocating things back. People are having really like vapid conversations. People are saying that they want community, but then they're not really actually engaging with the people that they're with. There's a lot of hollowness really to conversations. And it's very interesting what we say that we want and what we actually end up doing. And like if you say that you want community, then you might want to actually ask questions and participate. And then I ended up going into like the self-development world and how, that's my work essentially. And I think that whenever I advocate that people take any sort of responsibility, then people really pull back from that. And we actually really want all of these lists and affirmations and get through it memes. And as soon as there's any sort of responsibility even mentioned, then we pull back from it. And even when the first time that I did the video, there was a literal drop off to 0 viewers the first time, really emphasizing my point. And a lot of people were emphasizing that, like, they feel that there's the happy hits from all these listicles, affirmations, get through it things, but the actual hard work being taking some responsibility and diligence is difficult. And I think it translates to the responsibility of even just maintaining a relationship, right? We maybe don't even have real friendships anymore, or what a friendship is has actually transitioned. I think these memes, listicles, affirmations are actually the way in which we have relationships now. We send TikTok videos back and forth and we share memes and we share little gifts and stuff, and we're not actually asking people deep, meaningful questions. And we're not really having to ask people anything thoughtful or deep or being able to call anyone on their shit, because not only is it problematic to be challenging, but in order to do something that is challenging, you actually need to know their values in order to know if what they're doing is antithetical to their values. You can't call someone on their shit if you don't know what their shit is, right? So my boyfriend Matt and I have discerned that kind of like the friendships these days are actually more about having people near you that want to do things with you, right? Like, so that you can take pictures together and you can call people your friends, but you don't actually have anything to do with each other other than that. Like it used to be like incredible stories with pics or it didn't happen, but now it's only pics. And if you have a story, that's kind of amazing. Like all of these beautiful pictures and people to take and share with, but like, I dare you to show me the footage of what happened with you in the car on the way there. Like, was that all this just vapid conversation? And like, are you even texting each other in between? And not because you're busy, but because it doesn't matter, We're turning everything into a photo op. Everywhere has an X that you can stand on. I went to the craft store the other day and it's a photo booth there. It's just like remembering, like, why are we taking all these selfies everywhere? To remember what? Memories of what? You don't even know the person you're standing next to. You don't know what their goals are, their hopes and dreams are. And like, it doesn't really matter. What are you trying to remember? The gorgeous art installation of someone else? Like, that someone else put everything into? Like, we have become consumers of everything, but even other people's memories. That's their art. And there's a point where it's like, oh yes, this was a beautiful day and we stumbled upon this art, but like, we are literally just going to selfie museums just to take pictures of ourselves. And, you know, someone mentioned that socializing has become really draining for them. And someone here is commenting that I feel like I'm too lazy to maintain friendships. And that's why I only have 5 friends and most of them are from childhood, high school friends. That's actually really normal. And if you actually have, it's really corny, but it's not about quality, it's about quantity. I said it backwards. That's actually what people think now. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, okay? So if you're friends from high school or college or wherever they're from, they can be from last year, they can be from 5 months ago. It does not matter when they're from. It's about how deep you can get with them. It's about how much you know. It's about if they know your values, if they can call you on their shit, if they stand up for you and they don't call you whatever behind your back. It's about if it matters, if you care, if you give a shit about them, if you put thought into them, if you know their love languages. That's what matters. I'm not talking about how many you have. Who gives a shit? When you get older, you can't maintain a large group. I'm not talking about how many. Fuck that. That's not what this is. And when you get older, even no matter how extroverted you are, I am deeply extroverted, but you really can't maintain, there's too much going on, whether you have kids or not. It's especially if you have kids, but my God, I have a business and I just can't, logistically maintain a deep, meaningful relationship with multiple people. It's difficult. It just is difficult. Logistically, practically it is, which is why your 20s are amazing. But I feel bad for people in their 20s now that are being sold this idea of, what community is, what connection is. So someone was mentioning on Facebook that socializing is becoming draining for them, and it has for me too. You know, I think part of it is because, you know, we became out of practice during the pandemic and we're isolating with our screens. You know, even the most extroverted people had to adjust during the pandemic and they became out of practice, right? Even the most extroverted person will become socially awkward and socially anxious when they're out of practice. That's a completely different topic. But I will say that for me, I only notice socializing, I notice that socializing is draining for me when I'm around people who aren't participating or who are actively attempting to like zap or suck or feed or just really martyr. That's what I'm talking about, martyr. That's what people mean when they're like talking about an energy vampire. It's martyring, being a victim. So if I'm around people who are curious, who are actively participating, participatory, no matter what their level of shyness is. I'm not talking about extroversion. I'm not talking about shyness. Most of my best friends are actually very shy, very shy. Opposites attract not in values, but in levels of dynamic. You can't have opposite levels of values, but you can have opposite levels of dynamics, okay? But most of my friends are deeply shy, and that's, some people are immediately like, well, I'm not extroverted, so I can't do what you do. Fuck that. Yes, you can. And you can participate. You can be curious. That's what we're talking about here. And if I am around people who are curious and participatory, then I do not feel like I am fulfilled. Like I'm not fulfilled. I feel like I am fulfilled. I feel like I'm engaged and I feel happy. But curiosity is unfortunately becoming decreasingly less common. Curiosity is a huge element that we are losing, and I think that we have Google to point to that. We have no wonder anymore. We search for the answers to everything. How much is a quart? Oh, well, I learned that in school, but I'm not going to try to find it in my mind. I'm gonna Google it. I turned 20 on the 18th, and honestly, I feel like I have enough friends. I'm an introverted extrovert. That's fine. Yeah, great. Don't focus on labels. That's my only thing with that is, you know, it doesn't really matter the introverted extrovert. Like, we're using labels are clear to cut through communication, like especially in something like this. But being 17 years older than you, just try not to focus on labels as much and just be who you are. And in your age, you're going to have like a whole decade of good amount of time to really nurture those relationships. And unfortunately, like the place that you're growing up in right now, time-wise, is nurturing very vapid relationships. So do your best to have high standards. I don't think the thing is that people are doing anything malicious, though. That's the thing. So that was the main reason that I wanted to come on here, is because in response to the first video that I made about the sadness of lack of substance, I'm realizing that, like, one, I don't think anybody was doing any of this maliciously. I don't think that anyone is like, not anyone, but most people aren't in this situation because they are like, oh, well, let me go into this situation and like not make someone feel bad or make sure that I don't get deep or whatever. Like, I mean, you feel like most people are answering questions. Yeah. So most people are, if you watch the first video, I kind of describe what I'm talking about. So it's not that people aren't answering questions, it's that they're not initiating talking. Like, there's a lot of people who are answering their own like questions that people are asking. It's that if I say, where are you from? They'll be like, I'm from Baltimore. And then it's just a hard stop. It's a hard silence. There is no initiating of where are you from? And then going deeper. There's a superficialness to a lot of conversations. There's a lack of depth. I'm not going to go back into it. If you want to watch the first video, you can. I'm not doing that in a flippant way. It's just because I don't want to be repetitive and time. And oh, you're agreeing with me. I'm so sorry. I am reading this I'm seeing the pause in the sentence. Like, most people are just answering questions. Yes, I understand what you're saying now. I'm sorry. Yes, I agree. It is just that most people are answering questions. It's that there's it's a lack of yes and in life. You're correct. It's that it is just, I'm from Baltimore, period, hard stop, and then not continuing on with No. Your comments are not off topic at all. I just thought that it's fine. So it's not, I'm from Baltimore and I grew up, like, not adding anything. It's not a complex sentence. It's a complete, it is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence, right? But it's not an interesting one. And we're more intelligent than that. Be more intelligent than that. Be more interesting than that. Say something like, I'm from Baltimore and here's something interesting about that. Here's a fact about me. And if you don't have anything, put it back on them. And, a lot of the things, some of the things that I got from people were like, well, I found that it's rude to talk about myself. I was raised like that. That's not really the problem that I'm facing. Most of the time, the things that I'm facing are people who are like, I will only talk about myself. When the person, like the one unicorn connection. Okay. When the one unicorn in the group has, if you are lucky enough to have that, pauses to be like, okay, it's time to ask everybody and like, let's try to get to know people deeper. Let's ask other people something, or just the one person that you're with. And you say like, where are you from? I'm just using that as like a blanket thing because it's very easy. And sometimes we don't even get that far. And you ask that, they'll say, I'm from Baltimore. And then that is the end of the question. That is the end of the conversation. And then that person doesn't come back to you. So like, they don't refer it back to you, and then they don't, and they don't offer any interest back in you. There's no curiosity, right? And that's what I meant by there's a lack of curiosity that's being plagued by Google and this information age that we're in, that's actually an entertainment age. And you feel like you're bothering people, but you're not. You're just trying to be curious. And if you insert yourself and your information about where you're from, it actually makes it look like you just wanted to talk about yourself, but that's not really what it is. Like you said, you're trying to keep the conversation flowing. It's very interesting. It's very sad. But going back to my point of, I don't think people are doing this to be malicious. I don't think people are setting out to be like, I want to, keep everything vapid. I have no desire to have a deeper connection. I mean, sometimes we have our guards up, right? Sometimes we're dating or we're in a relationship of any kind, romantic or not, and we have been hurt before. Our trust is hurt. It's broken. It's a really big topic. Trust is powerful. And in all sorts of relationships, our trust can be hurt. And we don't want to open up as much. And there are plenty of times when we have an active guard up, whether it's conscious or not. But I don't think anybody's going into a situation being like, I really hope that this stays as vapid as possible. I'm going to actively not talk to anybody. I'm going to actively not reciprocate questions. I'm going to actively, there's not a real plan, right? It's not vindictive. It's not thought out it's not first degree, I think it's just easier for more people than others to fall into the trap of what the status quo is doing and what the status quo is pushing. And if you're noticing this and you are someone who has commented on this stuff already, I believe that you're someone who knows what your standards are, remembers what it was like before, and is keeping your standards high. And I appreciate that. And I want to find out what the reason is for what was happening, for what is happening. I want to find out why is this happening? Are we not trained to do this? Is it because it's so infrequently happening that we just have forgotten how? Are we out of practice? Is it a shyness thing? Is it, actually, no, it's not. Shyness has nothing to do with curiosity. I'm so sorry. You can still do it because it's not even happening in texting. What is it is it a bad habit? How can we break it? Because it is a bad habit and I want to figure out how to break it. And if I cannot get the people who see this video and realize that it's them, right? If you watch this video and you can honestly say, oh, you know what? I am doing that. And not respond with aggressive defensiveness, because that's another thing that we have been trained to do, right? I want to look at the people who I'm complaining about, right? I'm acknowledging that it's a complaint. I'm acknowledging that it's making me sad and upset. But I want to figure out what you're doing and why, because I can't help break this habit with you, for you, next to you, in conversations that I'm having with you, because I want to get near you. I want to help. It might be harder to figure that out because I know it's not malicious. And even if you do see yourself as like the problem in this video, because I understand that it's being labeled as a complaint, it's being labeled as something that is not ideal, right? And then we immediately are like, put our hands up and we're like, well, hold a second. I'm going to be defensive about it. It's in your human nature to be like, whoa, you don't know, you have no idea why I'm doing that. You don't know a damn thing about me. How dare you, right? And that, honestly, one is a little fair because it's a human nature thing to defend ourselves. But also it goes right along with the second part of my video from yesterday, which is about self-improvement, where we are pornographically obsessed with self-improvement, but we do not want to do the improvement part. So if the improvement part falls away, what are you left with? The self. We are pornographically obsessed with the self. And we say that we want to do the improvement part, but as soon as anyone implies improvement and taking any sort of accountability or responsibility or making a change, our arms goes up. We say we're a victim. We say we're being attacked. We say that we're a marginalized group, that we're too sensitive, that we can't do this, that da 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 da. And there is no accountability. And there's a bunch of reasons why we can't do it. And that martyrdom, well, it's a reason. You have a lot of reasons why you can't do what you are going to do. I do too. I have a lot of reasons why I can keep doing all the things. But every single reason that I have ever, or every single thing that I've ever changed for the better in my life has been because I stopped following the reasons and the excuses. I can give you a lot of reasons. And reasons can also be excuses. Maybe most of the people who were bullied for being expressive, I think maybe a very small part, we can attribute a lot of things to very specific, past things. It can't be 98% of the population was bullied for the exact same thing. That seems crazy. I think it's a social society issue that is stemming from a lack of intimacy, a lack of, I don't know. I think it's larger. I think it's, but I need to get to the feeling. because I don't identify with it, genuinely. I think it's a feeling of, I think it's a result of a social crisis of, hi, you want to be on the video? Come on. I think it's a social crisis of a lack of intimacy that's propagated by consistent opportunities to be with people while maintaining hyper independence. Like, there is no way to commune, right? There's no way to commune. There's no way to be with each other, right? Like, there's ample ways to be together without being together. We have found 100 ways to create a table to sit together, but we have created no prompts about what to say at that table. We've just found 100 different ways to paint the table so that we're sitting at it, and now we're taking pictures at the table, and instead we're all just sitting down at the table. We get there, maybe we'll do an activity at the table, or maybe we'll paint the table ourselves, and then we'll take a picture at the table. But then as soon as we're done, as soon as our hands are no longer busy, as soon as the photo has been taken so that we can prove that we were there, we leave. And we're left with this feeling of, once we're just there, the same way that if we don't have our phones in a line, a queue, we don't know what to do with ourselves. And when we're left alone with people, whether we know them or don't, and the reality is we really don't. We don't know what to do with ourselves. So there's this feeling of awkwardness, uncertainty, I guess. Fear. Fear is uncertainty. Uncertainty is fear, rather. So I guess that's what it is. It's a lack of practice. It's a lack of certainty. When you have confidence in anything, you will feel comfortable. So at the core of it, it's fear. Without our activity, without our phone, without the picture, there is no backbone to hold this up, to hold this relationship up. We're fearful that there's nothing to talk about. And why would that be? Sorry, I'm figuring this out in real time. We're fearful that there's nothing to talk about. Technology and quarantine kind of ruined us. Yeah, I agree. We're fearful that there's nothing to talk about because we don't know what to say, because we don't think that we are worth it, that we are not bringing anything to the table, that ultimately when it comes back, most people are more afraid of their value than others. So maybe they're actually more afraid of the conversation coming back to them. So if you don't start the conversation, it can't keep going. Don't get your hopes up. So if someone starts the conversation, it might come back to you. So there's a fear and a nervousness that if someone does start the conversation, they will not. Thank you. My glasses suit my face. I agree. I really want to get contacts just so because of the blur and the annoyingness of it, but I really like wearing glasses. Okay, so most people don't have a lot of self-worth. And we know that everything in our culture is perpetuating that. So what if the reason that we're being so inconsiderate isn't because we don't want to know other people, it's because we don't want them to find out about us? Holy shit. Oh my God. What if it all comes back to self-love? God damn it. Self-love and practice with actual just basic conversation skills that we're lacking because we're always on screens. Oh my God. Okay, well, I think that is the answer. Yeah, self-esteem issue. That's what I mean. Yeah, we're lacking self-worth. We're lacking self-esteem. Self-worth is self-esteem. It's essentially the same thing. I mean, it's different, but it's the same. For our terms, it's the same. Oh my God. I just talked that out in real time. All right, well, if okay, so scratch, okay, well, not scratch. If there's something else that I haven't hit, if that just hit, then the answer, I have enormous amounts of self-love, self-development resources, but you know what? It's not going to work if the other part of this, well, hold on, let's talk that other part out. The other part is not wanting to do self-improvement because we love the self and we get upset at the improvement part. And if I'm looking at it through this lens instead of a sad, upset, angry lens, because that is what I was doing up until literally 2 minutes ago. I was looking at it through a martyred lens of my own, of I want to have friends and I want to have deep relationships with friends and I want to have all the friends that are deep and meaningful. And instead of flipping it over to a compassionate, why is this happening for them? I was angry. So now I'm understanding, like, I was looking for the answer, but I wasn't assuming that it was like this. So if this is the answer, then let's look at the self-development issue as well. So if we are in a place of not allowing self-improvement to be a part of our lives because we are upset and we are defensive at the improvement part, we only like these affirmations, these listicles, these things that make us feel comfortable, but only allow us to like get through the day. These things that only allow us to, these things that are enabling us, essentially. These things that are not helping us to get out of the puddle, but to rise above it, to grow. And we strap ourselves to things that are kind of patronizing because it makes us feel better to know that we are not just that we're not alone, but other people have it worse than us, that other people are going through it, that the struggle is real. And if that's true, and we know that maybe the reason that we're not getting into a conversation because we're worried that we're not substantial enough to be of substance, then maybe the reason that we're defensive at self-development is because we don't trust ourselves to do the work. This is giving me this is a lot. I mean, like, I kind of know this, but it's just so much self-worth involved that there's so little. There's so little trust in ourselves that we'd rather maintain our own status quo of struggle than even try. And it's not even necessarily that we are navel gazing at the self. But we actually might just have such a low level of self-esteem and self-worth that we are too defeated to begin to try taking action on our own goals. But the solution to this isn't to build self-esteem through patronizing, tote bag, inspirational memes, listicles, and affirmations. And that is the thing that I think we're missing here. Okay, so yes, if you want to get out of this puddle or this rut or whatever it is, and you're thinking like, yeah, I am interested theoretically in personal development. There's a part of you that really wants to get out, wants to change. And what you do is you subscribe to an extremely popular mainstream account on social media or something for free, and the content that they're giving is patronizing because that's what the status quo is interested in. And then you think that you're doing good work by taking in these self-esteem related positive affirmations, but they're not actually doing anything. Personal development is like anything else in your life. It's like working out or learning to cook, or it's actually much more like working out and losing weight. Like, you can't really just go for a leisurely walk every once in a while and expect to lose a lot of weight. Personal development it's an extreme situation. You know, you have to do very specific practices and pay attention. And it's actually more intense than working out, because with working out, you can actually just do something physically and not really be engaged mentally, and you'll still see results, right? Like, I can be anywhere and have any mindset technically and just do the exercises. And if I'm doing it correctly for my body, then I'll still see results. You know, if I'm curling a weight with my bicep, I'm still going to see results if I do it every day for 6 months. But if I am doing what you would call like shadow work in personal development for 6 months, but I'm not paying attention, I'm not engaged, I'm not mindful, I'm not like present with it, and I don't believe in it and all this stuff, like, it's not really going to do anything. But you have to go for it really hard for a long time. You have to give it your all. And you have to do it in like a big old spurt. Yeah, you're saying like, I follow so many body positive accounts and I still avoid mirrors. Yeah, following an Instagram account doesn't change anything. It's like, if we're akinning it to working out, like, just because you follow a physical trainer on Instagram doesn't mean that you're going to change your body. We're all taking in this tote bag inspiration, spirituality for personal development, and we believe that it's enough or anything. It's not that it's not enough, it's that it's anything. It's dribble, it's crap. And you'd honestly be better off not having someone else's stuff in your mind than this patronizing crap that you haven't even thought about whether or not you believe. So if you want to actually, if you have this thought of, no, I do want to change something in my life. I do. Whatever it is in your life. Personal development is anything, you know, it's any sort of change, transformation, evolution, whatever. It doesn't have to be spiritual or mental, intellectual. It's just anything, you know. But if you want to do that, then you gotta like do something in collaboration with something else. You need a technique, you need a tactic, you need something that's based in psychology and or science. If you don't know what you're doing, why is someone else who doesn't know what they're doing going to help you? And frankly, most of the stuff that's like a tip that you see on social media isn't really helpful. You need it to be backed in something. But my point is that if you feel that inkling in you, then the reason that you haven't started it, that there hasn't been a motivation to really do it, might be because there's a lack of self-worth. Might be because you don't actually believe that if you start, you're going to do it. You're going to follow through. That you even are deserving of the outcome that you want. Maybe on like a higher level, like a superficial level, like, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But at the base, if you really ask yourself, like, in 5 months, are you really going to realistically keep doing this? Or do you deserve to? So that's where I would say you get a collaboration with someone that does know how to teach you how to build self-worth. And that is like a therapist or a coach or a trusted membership with somebody that's actually teaching you stuff on a consistent basis, or there's resources on a consistent basis that are based in psychology and or science. And if you want something like that, I offer all of that. And you can go to uncustomary.org. I do have coaching one-on-one. That's the most... Oh, thank you. I don't regret following you on TikTok. You're helping me grow mentally. I like that you found me on TikTok. That's funny. What was I gonna say? I can't be distracted. My mind. I was gonna say that I have coaching and I have 2 membership groups. One is the Merriment Makers. That's like my life's work in there. And there's 30 modules. And you can get just the vault of resources, or you can go full tier and get like the daily texting and the mail and the membership group text, or what is it, group chat, and all the services and stuff that are involved for the VIP. Or you can do like get your feet wet and try the Feel Good Troop. And that's basically like the master classes in there. And you get all of the master classes for $39. And each one would be $88 on its own. So that one's a crazy deal. And you can go to uncustomary.org for that. Or you can get stuff a la carte, like you can get just the texts or just the mail. But that's not going to help you with your self-esteem, probably. That's more about like giving you like a joy injection for your day. But self-esteem stuff, that's what I would say. Work with somebody one-on-one that can actually like learn your situation and get some actual science-backed stuff. That's not tote bag inspiration. Fuck that. Okay. Yeah, so I guess we learned that a lot of this is based on self-worth, to consider compassion, and when someone is being inconsiderate, to consider if they love themselves enough to even have consideration for others. And if you are struggling with the cycle of feeling interested in self-development, but you can't get past that like vapid barrier, and you really are only attracted to listicles, affirmations, memes, and the like, that might mean that you are struggling with your own self-worth. And if that is the case, then check out coaching, therapy, or a scientific and psychological based membership where you can get consistent resources that are going to help you boost your self-esteem, confidence, and self-worth so that you can love yourself more and value the efforts that you would put into having a goal. Because if you don't have any goals for yourself, it means that you don't love yourself. Having a goal means that you believe in yourself. And if you're struggling with motivation, I also just specifically, I just posted a video about that on my YouTube. Scientific, psychological based facts, because I don't fuck around. Okay, so that's a recap. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. And please continue to do your best to simultaneously love yourself and show consideration for other people, because substance is coming from yourself and the connection that you're having to other people. And although our real love comes from loving ourselves, we make other people feel good when we make them feel good. So establish a connection that's deep and meaningful with other people, because you have to do good to feel good. Yes, I do have a YouTube. Go to uncustomary.org and you'll see everything. But the YouTube is youtube.com/Mary England. Yep, I do a free video every other Monday. So the next one will be on anxiety, and that'll be on March 18th. It's at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I don't know what that is in South Africa. Okay. I love you. Feel good to do good. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.